Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Freed on Business. Frank, we're going to have to change the intro. I think we're over $4 billion now. We've had a busy first quarter. We've got a great show for you today. It's one I've really been working hard to set up. We've got Conway in his ear. That's going to be on the show today. We've got Audley Bosch, the top leasing guy. He's my go-to guy when I have tenants that need industrial space. And my good friend, Malcolm Butters. We've known each other for quite some time. Malcolm has taken a small family business and built it into a behemoth here in South Florida. We're going to talk to Malcolm about what he's seeing in the industrial space here and around the Southeast. We'll start everything off with Conway as soon as he finds a place to park underneath his tree. So make sure to stick with us. We're going to talk about Miami's hot industrial market right after this. KC, find a place to park. Reagan, give it to me. Everybody, this is South Florida's longest running business talk show. We've been on since 2008. Our sponsors since 2012 have been Warren Henry. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry, Larry, Warren, Eric, Samantha, all of them over there. And I especially want to remind everybody in a couple of weeks to come out to Supercar Saturday. I know Malcolm's brother likes to go to those things. I see him all the time liking all the Warren Henry stuff. He likes them supercars, and I know Malcolm does too. Got to get your supercar out there, Malcolm. Hey, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar. Up in Gainesville, they sell Audi. Down in the Keys, they sell them all. What do they have in common? Well, they're all great cars, and they all come with the Warren Henry advantage. That means you get complimentary replacement, the complimentary service loaner, dynamic wheel protection, key replacement, guaranteed purchase offer, best value guarantee, and the 72-hour exchange. You can take 3 days to make sure you like your car. Guess what? You will. So join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, a lot of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best service, always the best price, always Warren Henry. That's the time for kindness now. Most people just don't want to get their head bashed in anymore, so they want to deal only with people that are nice. That's where I am. That's why I deal with Audley and Malcolm and KC. They're all good people, too. Also, I want to be very nice and say thank you to Malcolm Butters for giving me all the deals that I do with him. Thank you so much, Malcolm. Got to say thank you. Now, give me a call if I can help you. You see who I help. I help the biggest people in town do their deals. So call me and I can help you do yours. Got an issue? Call me. All these real estate deals go up, down, left, and right, and usually I can figure out how to finish them off. People moving into town, they call me because I know people like Audley. So call me. Why? Because when you call me, it is always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we're back. We're here with Conway, who's driving around with his orange and blue shirt on. He must be at Auburn because I know he's not at UF today. We've got Malcolm Butters. Malcolm sits on top of South Florida's top industrial development firm that he basically built single-handed with his family and a few close friends like Adam Baseman. High five to Adam Baseman. And, of course, Audley Bosch, who I met when he was just a young leasing broker. Now he's JLL's top industrial leasing guy. He's my go-to guy when I have somebody that needs space here in town. welcome Audley to the show. We're going to start with Casey. Unmute yourself there, Casey. I want you to lay down the groundwork. What's going on? It seems like virtually everything today is a logistics or industrial transaction.
You're right. It's all about the logistics. Record prices, record volume. We got to fix our supply chain. We learned with the tariffs during Trump that there were some problems with supply chain, and then COVID amplified those. And so there's no end to it. The big box that we used to think about retail is now an industrial warehouse. So we can talk about the numbers, but it is mind-boggling. This isn't a 1 or 2 year fad. This is a systemic watershed event in commercial real estate. And if you don't do industrial, if you don't understand it, and if you're not near a port, get near one. It's all going to matter.
Now, Audley, you represent a lot of the different transactions here in town. Casey said that if you're not near a port, you better get near one. Now, you and I looked at space, and one of the big things that you pointed out was its proximity to the port. How important is the Port of Miami and Port Everglades to what's going on down here?
It's very critical.
Sorry, Jim. Who's that for?
That was for Audley.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No
Audley.
problem.
Yeah, the seaports and the airports are really the lifeline of logistics coming in and out of Miami and South Florida, Broward, and Palm Beach. The Tri-County area really relies on those seaports and the airports equally as important. These days, we see that port cities all around the country that we compare against are actually at a much higher clip than we are when you look at rates. And so if you're going to talk about ports and port cities in the U.S., I would say Miami, South Florida, Broward, and Palm Beach have a long runway ahead of us and really some optimistic views to look forward to.
Now, Malcolm, I know that you're what I call an institutional capital deployment vehicle. So you have probably access to the best capital minds in the institutional industrial space. What are they telling you about South Florida, and what's the type of pressure they're putting on people like you to deploy capital and find deals?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Well, South Florida is considered probably the top 5 markets in the country. The barriers to entry into this market are severe, meaning it's hard for people like myself and Audrey and Ken to find sites. So it's a hard market to penetrate. The vacancy rate is real low. So it's called, we call it an uber core market. It's a core market, but even beyond core, it's an uber core. So it's the capital coming in here is, at this point, I've never seen it like this. It's extreme, and everyone wants to be here and put money to work.
So, one of the things that I've always found with transactions, and I think you hit on it, Malcolm, is that it takes really strong local knowledge. So, one of the things that's been going on here in South Florida is the sites aren't readily available. Casey's done a study about the neighborhoods and the different adaptive reuses that are going on. Malcolm, are you looking at any projects that you're changing the use on, maybe buying a building and switching it out into something else?
There's a lot of talk, Jim, about things like malls going the way of industrial and big box. But down here, to be honest with you, we really have not seen it. There's a conflict in zoning sometimes. You can imagine, if you're on picking any street, Biscayne, and somebody wants to take a big box and turn it into industrial, you could be next to a residential neighborhood behind you or, another retail beside you. The clear height might be there, so they could store and rack easily. But on the other hand, the shipping, they might have 1 or 2 shipping doors. It might be a truck well. So I hear about it, but I don't see it. For us, we're going after just plain, sites, either, raw land that's still thankfully available in parts of Dade County or Broward or Palm Beach, and just developing, traditional industrial.
Now, Audley, what are you seeing for some of these in-town sites? I know that you specialize in the institutional stuff that you represent clients, the big institutional guys. Are they starting to look at smaller transactions in town, like maybe in Hialeah or even up and down in Biscayne or Dixie Highway, where they'll go to take a use and turn it into one of these like Amazon stores or something?
I I would echo what Malcolm said. I think traditionally you see folks still in Miami and Broward buying sites that can either be invested in, like they might be in raw condition, or maybe a former use that's no longer applicable. Like I've heard of things down here like women's jails, landfills, other sites that were used for something industrial in the past, or perhaps an outdated use that is now being readapted. But, to that end, there's been some interesting activity over the recent years, the last couple, I would say, where we see some folks absolutely picking off small sites, but even more important, investing in some in-town sites, the way you were referring to, sort of more on the east side of things in Miami specifically, like with a Miami Access Park. Lincoln Property Company took old warehouses in an original part of industrial Miami and Hialeah, knocked them down, and built brand new modern warehouse. They were pioneers in that venture, and it seems to be working out great because they're very well leased. Another example is Prologis was in the news recently for buying a site near the east side of Miami International Airport for some potential future development of vertical industrial. So you certainly see not only folks picking up whatever they can on the small side of things, but you also see some readapting of older industrial uses.
Yeah, on the east side of the airport in a little area, which is Miami-Dade County, and we know what Miami-Dade County allows, the city of Miami doesn't, so they've been populating in there. I've also seen some art galleries opening up in there, so I think you're going to see a struggle. I think that you're going to see a little bit of a struggle there to see what that area is going to still want to become. We're talking about the area that used to have all the rental car lots that then went into the big rental car multi-modem place. KC, you studied all the different areas down here, all the neighborhoods for adaptive reuse. Can you go through a couple of them that you think are really set up? We've only had a couple of minutes, so we're going to roll through, do a couple, then we'll take a break and we'll come back for some more.
Yeah, so Doral is one. I've got a paper coming out with the Miami Realtors in about a month, and we look at they're doing an overlay neighborhood adaptive reuse zoning. Let me sit back to a couple of comments real quick. So the thing to keep in mind about South Florida is land's expensive, so you're going to have to go vertical. We've done vertical warehouse in New York and Seattle, so it's definitely coming. Imagine, 3 500,000 square foot boxes on top of each other. The other opportunity for many of your listeners, though, is what's called retail to industrial conversion. So Walmart, 90% of us live within 10 minutes of a Walmart. Amazon, we don't. So Amazon is adopting a retail to industrial conversion where they're buying former Toys R Us or Kmart, and they're converting these to last mile logistics. I just developed a course for CCIM Institute at CCIM.com that looks at this trend and whatnot, and it's a real opportunity for these closed big box where it's using it not for mass distribution, but really last mile logistics. So Doral is one to pay big attention to. We've also seen it. Wynwood used to be an industrial area that's become something different. Coral Gables is doing away with parking requirements. So the density and the value of your land is going to push that stuff really probably up into Central Florida, Winter Haven. That's the new inland empire of California and Florida. But retail to industrial conversion, check it out.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk about a property that I've been working on. I suggested the retail to industrial conversion for them. We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds, where it is, why I thought about that. Right after this, I want to thank Malcolm, Audley, and Casey for sticking with us. This is tremendous. Reagan, it's yours. This is where I talk about the fact that we're South Florida's longest running business talk show. I'm really proud of that. I want to thank all my friends for helping me with that, by the way. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Samantha. All the folks at Warren Henry that helped sponsor the show. They've been sponsoring us since 2012. That's 9 years. Wow. Hey, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar. They're all great cars, and they all come with a special advantage. That's the Warren Henry advantage. That means you get complimentary service loan or dynamic wheel protection, key replacement, guaranteed purchase offer, best value guarantee, 72-hour exchange. You could take 3 days to make sure you like your car. You will. Join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best service. Always the best price. Always Warren Henry.
Carlson from Carlson Integrated. You know, a lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
Hey, and call me because, I do everything. But the way that I do everything is I surround myself with the experts in the field, and then I listen to what they say. Take a look. If I want to do industrial development, I call Malcolm Butters. If I want to do industrial leasing, I call Audley Bosch. If I need to know what the market's all about, I call KC. I don't know anything except who to call. So give me a call so I can help you reach the person you need to get what you need done. Call me, 305-773-6300, DM me, all that kind of stuff. Right after the show, I'm going to do a residential mortgage for one of the Dolphin alumni. That's right, I'm so excited. So call me, I do it all. Need preferred equity? I just did an $8 million pref equity slug. Need a land loan? Just did a $10 million land loan. Need a condo inventory loan? Well, that one I just did for $100 million. So I do it all. Call me. Why? Because when you call me, it is always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we're talking Miami's hottest market, industrial. People come from all over the world to come here and they go, only $11 gross? I'm in. I remember when it was $250. So tells you how old I am. Malcolm Butters, top developer here in town. Audley Bosch, top guy on the JLL team. KC Conway, my go-to guy for everything intellectual on real estate. So we're back. KC, we were talking about adaptive reuse. I own a piece of property with some folks, and we've got a big couple of tenants. They've got a couple of years left. It's on a great location. It's on a great corner on Biscayne Boulevard. I got about 42,000 square feet. Not telling you where it is, Butters. And I'm thinking that I'm going to put one of them Amazon things in there. My partner goes, I haven't heard of that yet. What do you think, KC? Pretty good idea, huh?
I like it, and Amazon likes it. They know the zip codes where the packages go and the high income areas are, and that checks the boxes, and they've got to figure out this last mile logistics because they don't have stores. So they'll buy these assets, and then they'll put a triple net Amazon lease on there for 20 years, and they'll sell it as a industrial logistics asset at about, instead of $50 or $60 a square foot, try $120 to $150 a square foot. That's how you triple your money.
Woof! Now, Audley, people are coming in from all over the world. What are you seeing as far as tenant trends? Has there been a change in where people are coming and who they are?
Yeah, I mean, certainly a lot of this pandemic over the last year has created a new trend to follow. But let's leave that on the side. Besides that, real estate, especially industrial, like any commercial, was always location, location, location. Today, I think that's been replaced with e-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce. And whether that be the big e-tail giants that you've already mentioned, or some of the folks that are on the ancillary side of servicing that business, it's pretty impossible to walk into a warehouse today, no matter the size of the tenant, without seeing one of those, smiley face logos in their small package division, of which they probably didn't have a small package division before. So I would say that e-commerce continues to drive. Specifically in South Florida, though, we are very much benefactors of population growth. Even before the pandemic, Florida has already bumped up in being one of the biggest states in the country, and the majority of those folks are moving to, South Orlando and South, Tampa, Orlando, south of there. And, so South Florida gains a big benefit. Now, post-pandemic, there's obviously some uses that we really didn't see as much of before, but they were kind of complementary. Today, they're like the dominant ones, and that's food, distribution, logistics of food. When restaurants closed and hotels closed and cruise lines closed, people started eating at home more. And, they're a big leader in this. Pharma and PPE providers also came out of the woodworks. We also saw home goods, consumable home goods like construction supply and things that folks use for home renovation really take off. Marine related down here in South Florida is always going to be busy, albeit cruise lines are docked right now and not in operation. We are the boating, recreational boating capital of the world. So we have more boat shows down here than anyone in the world. And I think that's only increased as well in demand. So that's some hot demand areas that we've been seeing.
Now, Malcolm, what have you been seeing from a demand of product? How is the product changed? And are you building one of these multi-story industrial facilities yet? Where is that on the horizon? Because I know you've got to have one coming.
Well, not yet, Jimmy. I mean, it's I think, in spite of the fact that I think Prologis is probably doing one for it's rumored to be Amazon near the airport. I don't think it's very expensive. I think South Florida is not really there yet. We don't have anything planned. I think it will come at some point. I think it'll be situations where it's more of the, just-in-time deliveries, so they could afford to pay higher rents, but they could deliver things within the, within the hour or 2 hours. I mean, right now, what you're seeing is, guys like Amazon getting real creative and coming up with just a lot of regular warehouses being close to the residential. If you just look, Jimmy, again, we talk about Amazon, but it is the story in industrial. I mean, there's no doubt, when you look 20 million square feet in Florida alone this year, 100 million around the country. In Dade and Broward, there's probably at least half a dozen deals that they're taking, at least 2 million square feet, probably 3 million square feet when I start thinking about, Palm Beach to Dade County. So they're covering it without having to go vertical. I mean, like Audley said, when you look at e-commerce growth, it's gone from 4%. I mean, 4% of sales, e-commerce in 2011, now it's 20% of all sales. So you could see, it's just people are getting used to it. Even older people like my mom are doing it. Obviously, my kids do it. My beautiful wife, Catherine, shout out to her. She does it. So, and the pandemic, Jimmy, there's just so much, we learned so much from this last year, right? Before people were running out of, toilet paper and paper towels. So now guys like Amazon and other suppliers, Walmart, they're adding more supplies. So it used to be just in time, and now it's just in case, right? So that's adding bigger warehouse space. and that means more square footage for these guys like Walmart, like Target, like Amazon.
Now, I just had an experience that I haven't had before. I guarantee you my beautiful wife, Vivian, has. Shout out to Vivian since you did Catherine. And that's a return. How about the reverse logistics? That's got to be enormous, Malcolm. When you're talking to some of these people on the e-commerce bids, how are they addressing that, Malcolm?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole new. So for people that don't know reverse logistics, what that means is basically, when they return it, they send it back to the e-commerce guys. And again, whether it's Amazon or Walmart or Target, so they have to have a whole nother warehouse for reverse logistics and return. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's some very high number, like maybe 20% of all merchandise gets returned. Maybe Audley knows more about that. But yeah, so that's causing even more demand for space in the industrial world.
Hey, KC, you sit on one of these industrial REIT boards. How are they addressing reverse logistics, and what does that make up from their whole holdings?
Yeah, so we're doing both, and you don't want to trip up your e-commerce fulfillment with returns, so they're going in a different place. They're putting them in secondary markets where it's cheaper and they can repurpose a building like a mall or department store. In fact, our REIT Monmouth actually did a mall outside Dallas and Mesquite, Texas, 800,000 square feet with FedEx. It's nothing but return logistics. About a third, 1 in 3 things that we buy, we send back. And I blame it all on my millennial daughters. That's what they do. That's how they taught me to shop. Buy a size up, buy a size down, and what the heck, pick one more just for the hell of it. So it's a challenge. It's the huge piece of costs. The last mile logistics and the returns are the two biggest pieces. Amazon's model is not sustainable. Walmart's works great because you bring it back to the store. It's what they call the BOPIS, BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, or bring it back from online and drop it off in the store, BOTIS. And notice how these stores are changing. Look at home improvement centers are ditching the garden center, and that's becoming more of a the drive-through pickup or drop off. And so Walmart, actually their model works very good. You can buy it in the store or buy it online and pick it up, and then you can bring it back to the store and they can very quickly get it back into inventory. So we're going to see different models. And the other challenge for Amazon is that they charge all of their merchants 30% of their gross fee. And that doesn't work so good. So when you have a model like FedEx or Shopify or Etsy that don't take such a big bite, I think we're going to see different models here, but I like this retail to industrial conversion. The returns are going in a different place unless it's Walmart. Walmart, I think, has got it figured out pretty good.
We're going to take a quick break. Then I'm going to ask Audley. Audley, we did our tour. There was a lot of differences between the two environments that the buildings were in. I want to talk about the impact that the building's environment has on the tenant mix and everything else. We'll start with Audley when we come back. Other guys better be thinking because I'm going to ask you too. Reagan, let's roll. Since 2008, and I got to tell you, I think it's because of all my good guests that we get. Boy, what a great team we've got today. It's also because of our great sponsors at Warren Henry. They've been with us since 2012. I was there this week because my wife picked up a nail in her tire. Boom, no problem. Took care, just drove in, no problem. No problem, Mr. Freed, we got you covered. Thank you. So if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you check out Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infinity. Up in Gainesville, you want an Audi, they got them up there. You need anything else, they sell them all down in the Keys. It's great. I might get a Jeep from the Keys store. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all great cars. They come with the Warren Henry advantage. That means you got to get my paper out. Complimentary service loaner, dynamic wheel protection, key replacement, guaranteed purchase offer, best value guarantee in the 72-hour exchange. You take 3 days to decide whether you like your car. If you don't, you'll return it. Guess what? Nobody returns. No reverse logistics at Warren Henry. I got that in there. That was pretty good. So join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service. That's right. Always Warren Henry. I love that PSA, man. That's just all about me. Thank you so much, Reagan, for always playing that. Hey, everybody, give me a call. When you call me, it's all about you. That's what I say every time, and it's going crazy on my phone right now. I've got a call in about a half hour with one of the Dolphin alumni. I'm so excited. And I've got another guy. This guy, can't tell you who that is, but that's one of the big developers of some retail around the state. I do the homes for them. I do the homes for their kids. I do pref equity for people like Butters. When Butters has a laydown, sometimes he calls me because he knows I get it done. So if you need to get it done and you want to make sure it does, call me. Hey, I'll admit it. Sometimes they say I'm a little bit too much, but they never say I'm not enough. So call me. Why? Because when you call me, it's always all about you. I love the smile, Butters.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
I just got to throw it out there. I got to thank Malcolm because he's an old friend, an old family friend. We do lots of stuff together. Adam Vaisman, can I call Adam your number one there?
Of course.
Adam Vaisman, my buddy, UF grad, said, Mr. Freed, can you help me meet Mr. Butters? What is it, like 15 years later now?
Yeah.
Oh, tremendous. One of my best moves ever. Love that. So we threatened Audley Bosch that we would talk to him first this time. Audley, so listen, we went and looked at two different sites. One seemed like it was in the middle of nowhere. One seemed like it was in the middle of all the places for me to go to lunch, but I did notice that within 2 exits of each place was golf. So it sounds to me like all these industrial guys like to play golf. What else do they like to co-locate with?
It's really access driven, Jim. Both of those had very different environments. One was an older B product that was built in the early 80s, late 70s, and the other product we saw out west in West Dade was brand new, sort of Class A, construction built maybe in the last 5-7 years. So very different products, but they do have something in common. And those golf people look for the same thing, and that's access on and off the highways. Industrial, you see it often from the highway, and it's not by mistake. Usually it's driven because by zoning, they don't want, like Malcolm was saying, or KC, I forget now, but no one wants industrial next to residential, and some retail uses don't want industrial next door either. Sometimes it's noisy. Sometimes the truck traffic is too much. Sometimes they operate in late hours, because of logistics being 24/7. But I would say what those places have in common is proximity and access to the major thoroughfares down here in South Florida. That's really what drives a lot of these industrial requirements. It allows them to get to where they want to go quickly, and demographics is huge. I've heard the word last mile a bunch here on this talk show today, and it's very relevant. Folks want to get their stuff within an hour or two and same day, and that's why these places are where they are.
Malcolm, what are you seeing from the development standpoint? You're building on a bunch of greenfield, I call it, just land that's ready to go. So that is more and more outside of the urban core. What are you seeing that the industrial tenants like to co-locate with when you talk to them?
Well, I think, Jimmy, it's not so much, I think I'll agree with Audley. I think it's about, they want to be in a certain area, and they want to be near the highway. So, we have a big portfolio we're actually doing with Audley's company, JLL. It's like 850,000 square feet, 2 different sites, and it's in Central Florida. So one of the projects, one of the two is in Lakeland. And you're saying, why Lakeland, Florida? It's if you look at a map, you go from Lakeland, You go to Miami in 3 hours. You go to Tampa in an hour. You go to Orlando in an hour, and Jacksonville an hour and a half. Et cetera. So it's right in the middle. So to them, these industrial tenants, it's all about access to highways, like Audley says. It's about access to rooftops. They're not really as concerned right now about rent growth. They want to be in the right spot. And that's why Miami, when you talk about rents, I think you said $11 gross, Jimmy, but I think that's like a number from 5 years ago. Right now, Audley will tell you, tenants are paying, probably 12 or $13 gross easily to be in the right spot. So they want to be where they want to be. I think price is always a factor, but I think it's less of a factor. We're doing a deal now with a major e-commerce company, not an Amazon, but they're in the home furnishing business. And I think we probably are the highest number of our competitors, but they want to be right near our project in Deerfield, which is right next to I-95.
So, Casey, Malcolm touched on it, Lakeland. We know that up by Frostproof and up in there is the new inland port. Tell me a little bit about that and why that's so important. Sorry they killed the expressways, Casey.
And all those strawberry fields, all squished strawberries, right?
Strawberry fields forever.
Yeah, there you go. So the last comment, they're right. Rent is not the issue anymore for these e-commerce or anybody doing e-commerce for their retail for themselves or somebody else. These buildings are used 24/7, and the total real estate costs are single digit, under 5%. So the utilization of these buildings and the rent is just not the issue anymore. It hasn't been for a while. So don't get hung up over the price per square foot. Look at, it's got to be the right location. It's got to be the right zip code. It's got to be off the interstate. It's got to have the right land to building ratio, all of those bells and whistles. The inland port of Florida, which is Winter Haven, really from Plant City all the way to Winter Haven, it's where they draw in everything from Florida's ports, all 13 of them, into the center of the state, whether it's Toyota or Publix or, even Nucor Steel. They've all discovered that that's a great place to be. They were smart in developing it with Centerpoint. It has its own infrastructure. You don't need to use commercial driver's license drivers because they all have their own road network. It's really a smart thing, and you can draw in from Tampa or Jacksonville or Miami and distribute to the whole doggone state. So that is the epicenter of industrial. Miami, the land costs are so high for everything else and every other utilization, you're going to have to go vertical. Go look at the one in Brooklyn. Go look at the one in Seattle. It's coming. It'll happen. So it's all good stuff. People forget, Florida doesn't rank high on any one port for containers because you got more ports than any other state. You got 13 of them. If you just combine about 3 of them, is bigger than Charleston or Savannah. So it's a big doggone deal. And the Winter Haven, Central Florida, my friend Sean Malott, who's head of economic development for Central Florida, he's the guy to go touch base with if you don't understand it.
Now, Casey, what about it just went out of my what about the fact that some of these newer tenants may be crowding out some of the older, more historic industrial tenants? Our economy drives off of the space where people do their work too. What's going on with that?
So think about it, kind of what happens in a recession, right? People move from class A down to B or C, whether it's multifamily or office, and they move around. We're not crowding anybody out, but these older industrial tenants that do smaller, more local business might find that, an old Advanced Auto store or a drugstore that's closed is just fine for what I need. And I don't need to be in that warehouse that's being tore down or the roof raised and the rent's going up. So I think this retail to industrial conversion is an alternative strategy for older tenants that are being priced out of the market. And so it's just, we're moving around. People got to find their strategy. And I think utilizing a lot of this empty, dark retail for logistics purposes is an untapped opportunity. And so don't give up. Give us a call. We'll help figure it out for you. We'll use Site to Do Business. We'll use the Canvassing Queen. We'll use Barry Wolf. We'll use your guys here. We can solve this problem.
Look at you, all my social media friends. They're doing the building again, so I had to put it on mute. Sorry. So I want to talk for just a second because we got a lot of young people that watch this too. The industry's really changed since I started, and since Malcolm and KC started, we were using 12-column spreadsheet paper at the accounting firm. Malcolm worked at the insurance company. I mean, come on, now it's all different. What skill sets are most important for people that want to work on your team, Audley? What do you look for in a person?
Drive and ambition by far have to be in place. What we do is not as glamorous as some may make it look. It's not any secret sauce. However, someone mentioned just canvassing right now. So we always look to the fundamentals of how we can get our business right. And it's securing tenants, it's securing off-site opportunities, it's securing new clients. And you do that by, good old canvassing and business development. Obviously, when you're building a team, not everyone has to have the same skill set. So there are obviously a series of bullet points that we can point to that drive success in our business. However, we've recently grown our team. For example, we were a team of 3 up until about 18 months ago. Now we're a team of 5 brokers. Those are, for sure, role players that have come in to fill, great opportunities, great seats that are just really not focused on because maybe traditionally in our world, especially, we were lone wolves, not maybe the team approach. Today, our team, specifically JLL Industrial Miami, which I'm a part of, we have about, I think it's, 10, 12 million square feet of total product. And it ranges from small base stuff that's, in a very industrial area to, class A, high exposure, high curb appeal, like Malcolm said, trying to get 1250, gross rents. So really, it's all about a variety of qualities, I would say, and characteristics in the individual, but drive and ambition have to be there.
Malcolm, development is different than brokerage to some degree. What would you say a person that wants to get into development should be focusing on today? It was always starting off as the analyst. Has that changed?
I think, the one thing, Jimmy, about development is, it's something that you really cannot teach in school. So you can't go and get your master's at a terrific school like FIU or Miami and become a developer. They're going to give you the foundation. So I think if you want to get into development, I think you actually have to work for a developer. So you understand the skill set, get into the that whole framework and what it takes. I've been really lucky. You mentioned Adam before he came to work with us right out of school, didn't know anything about it. 15 years later, he's a terrific guy. We have Kyle Jones, who came to us from Styles. So, obviously he had the skill set coming in. But I think you really got to work with a developer and kind of understand it. It's just something you can't go, from, let's say, being in brokerage to development. It's got to be something you got to transition. So definitely, if you like development and you have a creative side and a passion, like Audley said, then I think just find a great developer. And it could be, it could be commercial. It could be a Lennar. It could be a D.R. Horton. There's so many aspects of development.
Most
Hey, Jimmy?
Yeah, go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, it's all about the 4 C's for the young people. It's what you teach every day in practice. It's number 1, common sense. You got to have common sense to know how to connect the dots. Number 2, it's communication. If you think you can hide behind Zoom and not get out and meet with people, common sense, communication, and then it's about capital. If you don't know where the capital's coming from on the debt or equity side, like what you do, if you didn't have your capital structure information, who would want to use you, Jim? What's the value proposition? And I'd say the last thing then is the cash flow skills, to know how things flow, where you can improve a deal, where you can tweak a deal. It's not about Argus, but it's that understanding those common sense basic ratios. So those are the red shoes 4 C's.
I would add to that the Malcolm really nailed it for me. I went to UF. I came out with the MBA in real estate and urban analysis. All I had was a book. I didn't know what to do with it. It's like a mechanic that has a toolkit. you've got to work on a bunch of cars. That's why I always say that it's terrific to go in and be on a multi-project team like Audley has, like Malcolm and Adam Baseman have. We're going to take a quick time out, and then we're going to look into the future with all of our industrial experts here from South Florida. Reagan Mendoza, rock the world. Everybody, we're South Florida's longest running business talk show, been on since 2008. Wow. Warren Henry's been a sponsor since July 2012. Double wow. I guess we sell a couple of cars for them, don't you think? So join me. We have a great time. And remember, when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry. You think I know this one by heart? You're darn tootin' I do. That's right, I do. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry Land Rover, Range Rover, Infinity up at 151st and Biscayne, Jaguar 2 up in Gainesville. They sell Audi down in the Keys. They sell them all. What do they have in common? They're all great cars. They come to Warren Henry Advantage. That is a suite of services that I have to read because it's so big. Complimentary service owner, dynamic wheel protection, key replacement, guaranteed purchase offer, best value guarantee in the 72-hour exchange. You take 3 days to make sure you like your car. No reverse logistics here. You'll love it. Join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry.
This is Becca Carlson from Carlson Integrated. You know, a lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
That's right. And call me Jim Freed, because when you call me, it's always all about you. Mr. Butters can attest to that. I've done a bunch of deals for Mr. Butters and his family. Audley and I are working together on one of my big tenant rep deals that I'm doing for one of the government affairs guys. And Casey, I call him whenever I try to benchmark what I'm thinking. So call me. Why? Because I surround myself with the experts. You don't know who to call, but I do. I may not be the smartest guy in the world, but I got the phone numbers of all of them. So call me at 305-773-6300 because I'll pick up your call. And guess what? I have the magic here on my phone. What happens when I call people? They pick up. Why? Because I'm nice, just like all the ads say. So call me. Why? Because when you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
We're going to talk about now the future and how everybody sees industrial in South Florida going. I have to admit that I got my start here down in South Florida when rates were $325 gross and people would have a heart attack and say you could never pay that. They'd rather go to Broward County. Then gas prices went up and they started to stay down here. So it's really changed a lot. And I think there's some changes coming too. So we're going to start with Mr. Conway. Unmute yourself there, KC. You sit on the board of one of the big REITs. You do all this research. You talk to all the big muckety mucks, including, I'll just out you, Fred Smith at FedEx. So what's coming, KC?
More big box logistics. So we can build 300 million square feet a year for years to come. Number two, the cap rates and the valuations of these things are going through the roof. Clear ceiling height, just like the valuations. Forget 6 cap rates, forget 5 cap rates, look at 4 cap rates. Number 2, it doesn't all have to be a big 250 to 500,000 square foot warehouse, but if that's what you're targeting, understand the box has changed. It's land to building ratio of 10 to 1. It's clear ceiling heights that are 38 to 40 foot to handle the rack systems. That's going to be a challenge in South Florida. So we're going to have to look at the alternatives like the retail to industrial conversion. The future is great. This is the place to be. We're seeing the convergence of retail and industrial. Think adaptive reuse. And for the young people listening to your show, you can learn in weeks what it used to take us years to do when I started my career in the 80s. It's all available to you, the access, the internet, the information that's out there. You can be a subject matter expert on any aspect of this in weeks with what's out there compared to when we started our careers in the 1980s. So get online and use your common sense, your communication skills, learn about capital formation, and know how to work with a cash flow and a lease and know how they interact and affect value.
Malcolm, he's talking about very high shear walls in South Florida. What's going to happen in a hurricane?
Well, I don't think, Jimmy, it's just engineering, right? So the walls themselves are all, tilt wall, meaning they're solid concrete walls, whether they go from 8 inches thick to 10 inches thick or a foot in, So I think the hurricanes are going to be fine because it's just a big box, Jimmy, with no windows. I agree with KC on the clear height. Cap rates now, Jimmy, believe it or not, are below 4. I mean, they just announced, you saw, I think Torino just bought a building over in County Line at like a 3.7 cap. So definitely cap rates are going even lower. How much lower? It seems impossible, but when you talk to people like Prologis and other the big guys, they'll tell you cap rates in Europe are already at 3, and in Japan they're at 3. So why not America at 3? So I think also development, when you're looking at, trends, we're going farther out. We have a big project. We just put under contract land in South Miami, closer to Homestead. We're looking at projects in the north part of Palm Beach County, places like the Palm Beach Park of Commerce near Beeline. So, that's where we're going because there's more land. So like KC said, bigger boxes, higher boxes. And you got to go where there's open space. So South Florida, there's not too many parcels left near the airport. So you're going to have to go south of the airport. Not too many parcels near Fort Lauderdale or Palm Beach International. You have to go a little farther north of that. So I think that's where we're going.
Audley, so you've made your team bigger. You diversified your team. What else? What other changes are in store at JLL on the industrial team?
Yeah, I know that as technology moves, and Casey made a great point on it, it's just moving so fast. And what we're seeing today is actually the slowest we'll ever see it again, right? So it's only going to get faster. It's only going to get, more reliant on this rectangle we hold in our hands, that we could do everything from now. So I think us as advisors we're just always focused on trying to add more value for our offering, right? Anyone can put 2 and 2 together for the most part. Like Casey said, you need some common sense, and that's not always there. But let's assume that anyone can put 2 and 2 together. It's about what else you can provide, right? So our firm specifically can advise and assist on many aspects of the process that before perhaps brokerage firms wouldn't. For example, like workplace consultation and strategy. We have architects in-house. We have a whole PDS department. They're all project managers and owner reps. Most of those experts have GC licenses. We have within our own firm now a huge presence of capital markets experts in every division since JLL acquired HFF. So, really, what I would say is, we're just trying to be better advisors, better value for our clients so that they can achieve their goals and, subsequently keep us engaged and grow all our businesses together. So that's really what we focus on, Jim.
That's absolutely tremendous. It's almost like that's the best place to stop. And what I would like to do then is I do want to say a couple of words. I'm going to first of all say that I really appreciate, Audley, everything you've done for me. The show today is really a thank you to the guys on the show today. Audley's really been there for me always. Whenever I have a question on the marketplace, he's there. I admit that sometimes it appears as though I'm wasting your time, but I'm never wasting your time. I appreciate you digging in. And I have a call afterwards on the deal that we're working with. I'm talking to them hopefully this afternoon. They met yesterday. Malcolm, thank you so much for everything. You, Mark, the whole team, Catherine, everybody. Thanks for having us for the holidays at dinner time. Thank you for the easy deals that you could do yourself that you give me. I love you for that. It's some of the things. Malcolm Butters has been there for me when I've really needed him. And let me tell you, you really want to know what the difference is? You heard Audley say it. Everybody comes to the table prepared. Now it's what kind of person are you? I got the greatest people on the planet here on the show today, and that's why I'm going to end up with Casey Conway. You can stay on mute for this one, Casey. Casey Conway. I first got to meet Casey at the University of Florida. Thank you to Todd Jones for the introduction. Casey did something most people don't do. He opened his heart. Casey and I have become very good friends. You know, what I really like about real estate is the intellectual part, but there aren't a lot of people where I can just call them up on the phone and ask them if it's or not. Casey will tell you. Casey will tell you. So, Casey, I want to thank you so much for being part of my team and somebody I really listen to. And now I want to bring it all together. We've been through a lot. It's like the year anniversary now. We all know what I'm talking about. You're going out there. You got a mask. You don't got a mask. You got a vaccine. And you go to vaccine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't care what you do. But I hope that you learned the lesson. And the lesson is to surround yourself with tremendous people that believe in you. And if you do, you're going to make it through. Vaisman and Butters, Audley and his team, Casey and the Red Shoe team, me and everybody I know. So I want to thank all the people on the show today. Reagan, you too, buddy. You know, even though you're there in the still photo, you're there. Everybody's helped me. But this show was special for me because this show has people on it that have always been there for me, that mean the world to me. And the real lesson today isn't how hot the Miami industrial market is. It's how good your relationship are with other people. Because if you can have the relationship with the people, you'll get the business done. And people will feel that and they'll see it and they'll want to be part of it. And that's it. I want to thank my guests today. I want to thank Malcolm Butters, a true family friend, a person that calls me to find out how I'm doing and helps me stay strong all the time.
Jimmy, you're terrific. You are the Jim Cramer of South Florida. I want to let all your listeners know you're unbelievable, and you're the best radio personality South Florida has ever seen. I really believe that.
Thanks. You're just a beautiful friend, Malcolm.
Yeah. You're as good as Ryan Seacrest any day, Jimmy.
He has more hair. Oddly, I don't know what to say. You know, when we went out there, we sweated, we walked around. I don't know, power from ceiling height to rack, but you made me look like an expert to the guy. And I want to thank you for that. And Casey, anytime I need to know something, I can call you and you tell me the answer. You really do. And I'm going to use the chance to thank Todd for putting it together because he's just one of my bedrock people. And Mendoza, you're not showing, but you're there too. Without Mendoza, I couldn't put it together. So thank you all for helping make South Florida's industrial market hot. But thank you more for helping me make it through the pandemic. I really appreciate you very much, and I'm grateful for your friendship. Now I'm going to end the show. Gosh, I should end right there. I don't know how you top that. But I want to give a shout out to everybody that's helped. The first responders, all the doctors and everybody out there, our sponsor, Warren Henry, Bergstrom Center for Real Estate Studies, our listeners and viewers, Creco AI, Carlson International. Go to our Facebook page and all the social stuff. Find me on social. I'm the master of social. Watch. You'll see. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it is. If you missed today's show, it'll be up almost immediately for everybody. And I want to thank everybody. If you missed today's show, it'll be up. Casey had to go because he's speaking later. Look for us next week on 888. Oh, look at me. I'm reading. Look for me next week on whatever I'm on now, wherever you're watching me. We'll have our tech show on with Andres and all the smart people. Olivia, they'll tell us what's coming. Remember, this is the most important part. Remember, the person who wants to do something, you guys live this. The person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Right, guys? You know it. Now go out there, everybody, and make it happen. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Woof!